All right. So things that I sort of came up with so far, and I still need to do those other ones. But so these are characteristics of my traditional narrative that Americans need to go to college in order to succeed. So how does this emerge? It has to emerge from, well, colleges need to show up. So land grants, when federal government gives states a bunch of land to use for universities, to create public universities. So that's one of the rings. They introduce graduate programs. That's another thing that starts to get there. I have the introduction and the growth of athletics. I have paying for college in general, like how much it costs, should cost, doesn't, whatever. The roles and expectations of a professor, including this idea that professors are researchers. Housing and living on campus is something that comes into being, obviously. The thought that education is important for personal development and upward mobility in society. The rise of plastics and chemicals and metals, right? So we're talking about needing people who are competent and educated in these fields to be able to do this work, right? Engineers, chemists, so on. Another idea, college can prevent high school students from becoming bad for society. This is an older idea. Okay, and then I just need to decide how to group them, right? So I do how the traditional narrative came into being. I've got the land grants, I've got graduate programs, I've got the concept that education is important for personal development and upward mobility, and I've got college can prevent high school students from becoming bad. So all of these things together combined help to bring in my traditional narrative, right? They help to establish this idea that Americans need to go to college in order to succeed. Okay, the ones I have now for the main elements, okay? One of the main elements now of this traditional narrative is the growth of athletics. So I can talk about that, right? So the athletics part is not really something that causes people to be like, everybody has to go to college. It's an element in that. After we decide that, here are the things that matter, right? So athletics becomes a big part of college and college experience. That's one of its elements. The tuition becomes an issue. After we decide everybody needs to go, it's like, who's going to pay for it? How much should it cost? And so on. And then housing and living facilities, another element. So these are the things, the actual aspects of my narrative that exist, right? That become a major parts of my narrative. You got athletics, tuition, housing. And then my last thing here so far, I have how was the traditional narrative spread through society? What were the consequences? So it was spread through society by companies. One of the ways it was spread was by companies who needed educated people to do the work, right? So you're looking at these industrial firms that are making plastics and chemicals and different metals, and then cars start to be, you start to manufacture cars, and so you start to need people who are educated in these specific disciplines, and so that spreads the myth that, or the idea that everybody should go to college because you can get a good job and you get smart or whatever. So that helps to spread it. One of the consequences, which I haven't yet put, one of the consequences of the myth is that, or of the traditional narrative, I keep calling it the myth, is the fact that, applications go up. Like application to college rise dramatically. Right. And